What is up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. We are back with another Omni X-Men. We're breaking down issue 143 from the Chris Claremont Omnibus. And of course, I am not alone. I'm with my co-host here, my good friend John from John's Comics with Kids. John, what's up, brother?
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Good to be here.
Nice shirt, man. Nice shirt. I did.
Hey, I'm ready for Meeting Monday. But it's Tuesday.
I'm gonna switch this. I forgot the background, but I'm gonna switch this just because it's noisy. But hey, man, so great little setup that you got there. I'm really excited to break down this this holiday issue.
Yeah, right. It's Christmas in January.
Yes. I was like, man, if we could align it just a little more next time.
Exactly a month from Christmas. We're
yeah. Okay, so there you go. We're off 1 month. That's not.
I mean, that's one good for us.
One is a small number, so yeah, right. And of course, we're not doing this just the two of us. We have a special guest with us, one who has been on my channel before, but has not been part of the Omni X-Men yet. Although he's been in our chat several times. Great supporter and a great friend and a great person in the community. And that, of course, is the TikTok sensation Albert from Albert Loves Comics. Albert, what's up, bro? Oh, there he is.
Hey.
What's going on, man?
Oh man, I'm so happy to be here. I've lived in the chat so long. It's so weird to see my face here. It's great. I love it.
Glad that you're here, man. Glad that you're with us.
If you guys have not been following Albert on Instagram and TikTok, you guys are missing out. I'm just telling you. I talk to the guy every week about what he's making and the videos he's dropping and the books he's getting. So yeah. Plus, as a guy who loves X-Men and indie comic books, Albert's reading all the same stuff I'm reading a lot of the time. So we always have great spoilers for each other.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're all over it, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I make a lot of videos. It's just because I'm reading constantly. I'm like, I need to talk to somebody. And and sometimes people listen. So I enjoy it.
Nice.
Well, I think Reggie Collects said something about how this in this comic community thing with social media has allowed the little conversation you might have at your LCS to become this wonderful way to extend maybe what would be a lonely hobby into a real social activity,
Yep. Amplifies it completely.
Totally.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. We got a couple folks in the chat, so I figure before we dive into the book, as usual, we will say a quick hello. And also want to remind everybody that we will have our raffle Q&A afterwards, the trivia based on last episode. So if you missed that, you might want to go do some homework beforehand on the next one. But John's channel has the last episode. We'll ask some questions based on either the episode itself and things we talked about, or the actual issue, which was 142. Very epic discussion as well. So let's say a quick hello to the chat. We'll get into this. So we got my man Ruben Guzman in the chat. White Tiger, Cool Calm Collected, Cowabunga fam, good to see you. We got my man Magic Lasso here saying kitty, 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 kitty. He is a big fan. Saying hello to everybody, including Diana Ross and the chat. He says, question, in the future, which X-Men is the hungriest? Answer, Rachel Dinners. Oh man, he's dropping the so I hope
it's like an inside dad joke.
Yes, I love it. If anybody does not get that reference, please go watch last episode because that was just fantastic. So yes, nice to see you, Ryan. Let's see. We got Rudy in the house. What's going on, Rudy? Good to see you. We also have our good friend Jackson Roy Kirk hanging out with us tonight. Yes, the Dinners. We have our good friend Tony also hanging out with us tonight. Old Wolf 65 saying kitty kitty here, kitty kitty. Gore Vidal, good to see you as well. He says, evening, my shop's got 13 Saga copies and a possum got into the owner's car engine afterwards. Coincidence, Justin? I don't think so. Yeah, this is a day that Gore has not been looking forward to, as I know he feels a certain way about Saga. But
now that I've read Witches, I feel his pain. I get it. we found some simpatico.
Oh my goodness. I'm not going to comment on your Witches thoughts there. Good to see you, Gore, and I hope you're having your Saga celebration tonight as we will be. Albert and I going to be meeting up here in just a couple hours for a midnight release. So take some photos and fun stuff like that. Let's see. There he is. Chedai Knight in the chat as well. Rachel Dinners is legend. Yes, I can't argue that. I cannot argue that. Nigel, Desired Comics in the house. What's up, mutant peeps? Absolutely. We got my man Alan, aka Climbing Comics, with us tonight as well. Good to see you, Alan. And let's see, Chaos and Comics also hanging out as well. Good to see you. And I think we are caught up. So again, take a moment, smash that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and make sure you're following the two of these guys because they're awesome. And on top of that, like I said, John's channel is where we're going to have the next episode. So you want to make sure to certainly be subbed up. And Albert, later after the stream, I'll have to add your TikTok. I don't know if I added it, but I should, because you're killing it over there on TikTok. So definitely want to guide the folks over there if they haven't checked out your page already. So, all right, with all that being said, I guess we'll start with general thoughts of this particular issue, X-Men issue 143, and I'll start with you, John. What were your initial thoughts, and how would you grade this issue?
I do remember reading this one as a kid. Like, I want to say I've had this particular copy for a long time, and it definitely harkened to a lot of the horror sci-fi movies I was into at the time, and they even basically straight up say, like, hey, you know that Alien movie? Like, that was a good movie. Here's a show. Here's an episode of the comic. You know, you enjoy. So, like, for me, like, I can geek on all that. I know people that hate, like, the Brood, who come in later as a villain in the X universe because they're like, it's just a ripoff of the Aliens, which I get it, but, like, it's a really good one. It's a really good ripoff of the Aliens. So I do really, really enjoy this issue. I think it's kind of fun and funny as, like, a Christmas themed horror comic in a weird kind of way.
Yep.
So yeah, I would definitely rate this one pretty high. I'm saying in that 9.2, 9.4 range. So I'd say 9.2. I'm gonna go 9.2 on this one. But yeah, very enjoyable and fun little like one-off, but also like throwback to earlier issues. So yeah, it was good.
Nice, well said, very well said. Albert, what about you, my friend? What were your thoughts, and how would you grade this issue?
All right, so I read this omnibus a while ago. So I reread it today, but I remember when you invited me onto the show, you gave me a long list of issues, and I knew I wanted to talk about this one because I really liked it.
Yeah.
It was my first like big Kitty Pryde story, and getting to see just like what kind of character she is. And it's a solo story, really.
Yeah, really.
And so I really enjoyed it. I thought it was one of like the writing techniques that I've kind of like appreciated is when you're kind of just like hearing their mind. She just talks the whole time, right?
Yeah.
Like that's and she's just like she's just in a constant state of like fear, and you're just like in it for a very long time, and you're kind of feeling the desperation. She's like, I really like this really is the end. This is my last attempt, or else I might die. Yeah. And maybe I'm like jumping a little bit.
No, you're good.
I really liked it. I thought my favorite kind of comic books are a little bit more like intellectually challenging. I don't know if that's like the right way to say it, but like more thought-provoking. But this was very entertaining, so I'd give it a 9.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. I'm with the both of you. I definitely enjoyed this issue. I even like that. I mean, I know we'll get into like some of the beginning details, but like I just like some of the back and forth even before we get into the big chase and action scene with just some of the family. And again, it goes back to just like seeing the team doing something other than fighting per se, but like little, friendships and or lack thereof with, people trying to rip each other's heads off, kind of like a big brother, little brother type thing or something like that. So I just like seeing that aspect of the X-Men. And then overall, yeah, like I love Kitty Pryde. Like she's definitely become one of my favorite characters as I've been reading probably more of the newer stuff, because I'm still very fresh with her stuff from this era. But just generally speaking, and obviously what Hickman had done with her and stuff is really cool. But yeah, I'm going to give it a 9 as well. You're right, Albert. You definitely are hooked the entire time and wondering kind of like, where is this going? Like, how is she getting out of this? And it is a solo story. It's very much focused on her. And we get to see a lot of her powers and a lot of like how, again, like more of how things work. And the way we're learning it is like the same time she's learning it in a way, a lot of the things. So certainly being put to the test. Of course, the artwork is fantastic. John Byrne here, we'll talk about it more, but of course, this is certainly an important issue in his case, as it's his last one for the X-Men title. So I'm glad that we're able to continue to get it for an issue like this. So real quick, wanted to highlight, Chet here said he's got 9.4 Stan and Chris signed in black ink. He says he loves this book. And Chaos says that I thought we were talking Claremont Excalibur. Yeah, no, that's a different time and a different place, perhaps.
That's like the 7th Omni club that we're doing like down the line. That's a lot of other Omni clubs in advance of that.
2065,
right.
something like that.
I think that's what we booked it for. Yeah.
Yeah. We have Kenneth Bird in the house. Good evening. How you doing, Kenneth? Always a pleasure to see you as well. He said fun, scary, destructive story. So he's giving it a 9.4. Very fair, chat.
I like we got the angel flying down there at the bottom on this the background.
Oh, right.
When you highlighted when you highlighted a comment, you can see angel.
There you go. Yeah.
He's
hanging yeah. All right.
He was very useful last week, I thought.
He was, yeah. Got a lot so let's talk about this cover here. Initial thoughts on the cover, John. I'll pass it back to you. What are your thoughts on this one?
Again, it's a fun horror alien, Ridley Scott kind of homage going on here. I think they do play a lot on that Sigourney Weaver alone versus the alien kind of thing going on here. And then the Christmas background. I think there's a fun like horror Christmas, Black Christmas kind of thing going on here that I really dig. And I love the lighting, the way it shines off the rib cage of the creature. It's a fun cover, simple blue background for the most part too, but it totally works.
Agreed. Albert, what are your thoughts on this cover?
I love seasonal comic books. I think it's like
I'm with you.
It says Merry Christmas. There's a Christmas tree. I'm in. And I think especially like when this came out, like I think a lot of people were probably really curious about Kitty Pryde and like seeing this on the shelf and seeing like, oh, like it's a solo story or she's the focal character. I like it a lot. I think it's great. I also the costume I think is an interesting thing for her.
That's a good way to say it.
I wish it was a little better. But we got what we got. I'm okay with it. This is good. This is a good cover.
Yep. That's fair. And we talked a little bit about the costume last time and that we feel like it was really just like a, something they pulled out of the closet from the old X-Men team and said, hey, here's something that hasn't been worn in 30 years. You can wear this, You'll
grow into it. If like all of the characters had to do it, like if Wolverine had to wear like an old school kind of character, then it would be like, oh, she's really part of the X-Men now. Right. But like, why her? Why can't
you just can't see on the back? It says trainee.
Yeah, exactly. Want to say a quick hello to Barbarian Kung Fu hanging out in the chat, pointing out Chad? The Christmas cover there. Yeah, Chad, great to see you, my friend. I was just talking with him recently. Also, my man Jason hanging out, who he will also be hanging out with us tonight, Albert, as we're hitting up the Zap store to pick up our saga and all that fun stuff. So thanks for stopping in. He says, once again, Mr. Snyder, I love it.
I don't know what he's talking about, but it's good that Jason's here.
Yeah. Magic Last says, I'm guessing one of those wrapped presents is Logan gifting a photo of himself. Yes, once again, there probably is. Ryan, you're probably spot on with that.
I mean, we know he's notorious in those memes for laying in bed and looking at photographs. He understands the meaningfulness of giving someone a valuable photograph.
Yep. And to add on to, well, really not even to add on, I agree with everything you guys said here with this. Like, I'm a big fan of seasonal covers for sure, and I mean, Jason can attest to that. When I bought a random ASM earlier Spider-Man issue because it literally had something on the door. It wasn't even a Christmas tree. It was like a wreath. And I was like, oh, Christmas done. Like, I'll buy it. It was like $20. I'm like, I don't care. I'll buy it. So that's awesome. And I do like that they replaced the words Merry Christmas, or they replaced Uncanny with the word Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas,
a nice little ad in there too. Totally. So, and guess what came down the chimney? Like, that's the title. It's so great. So, all right, let's get moving on here. So right off the bat, we get Storm kind of attacked. I mean, we jump right into the action, really. Really, this whole issue, a lot of it, So this is a lot of fun to just figure out kind of what's going on, like when is this happening and all this, because we get to kind of find all that out. But what were your initials on this initial like just splash page and seeing this action going on? Albert, I'm going to pass it to you first.
There's a ton of these monsters in the background. I didn't even notice before. There are so many.
Yeah.
It was like you said, it's like straight action. And I'm like, all right, what's happening over here? Like, I felt like I immediately was curious. And obviously Storm's in trouble. She's a goddess. Like, how is she in trouble? And how's Kitty gonna, so this is a great beginning. I think this goes back to an earlier issue, right? Like 96 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that I remember reading something with this character before. I also noticed he's kind of got the one in the bottom left has like the Wolverine eyes. Kind of cool.
He does.
Yeah, I think it's a sick cover. It's a whole full page. And it's Storm. So this is great. This is 10 out of 10. Love it.
Nice. John, what are your thoughts here with this opening splash page?
I mean, it took me a second because it's been a while since I read this one to like remember, oh my gosh, yeah, they're flashing us back to when like, and then you see the obelisk that's shattered into things, and you remember her getting like pierced by one of those spears, and but a great alternate angle for it where it's now a splash page, and you see, it just sparks your excitement right off the page. You're like, whoa, my gosh, this is exciting! Like, what's going on? It took me a couple of pages to realize what was going on. I was like, oh wait, they are taking us back. This isn't new. This is past. But like, I love it.
Yep.
It's a good use of flashback without like dragging the story down and making it exposition.
Yes.
Instead, it's just like, we're going to throw you right in the middle of the action. Hopefully you remember this little moment, but we'll give you the pieces you might need because this is going to be important later.
Yeah. Agreed. And I think back to issue 96 of like, I do remember, like, I actually meant to, like, I wanted to watch a little bit of it again because I remember you really poking fun at I think it was Cyclops who initially like opened this can of worms essentially.
He did.
Yeah. So good stuff there. I also like the usage of, we get that pink background kind of blurred. We've been getting that a lot. Terry Austin doing that kind of style with John Byrne. So nice to just kind of see that blend in again as well with those colors.
And the is blue. It's in blue. Yeah.
Yep. True. Definitely feel it. You can see it in her face.
Yeah.
So this was a really cool kind of double pager here that they had put together. I like that they have, one, just kind of seeing her seal everything up and essentially, what we think to solve the issue. But then on top of that, that bottom row is like kind of seeing the seasons go by. And it's a nice little, I remember reading this digitally the first time and just kind of swiping through and it just going to one individual, season and breaking it down a little story by story. So, really cool just set of panels here overall. I like the action still as we kind of see how it gets resolved. Anything you want to add here, John, to what we're looking at here?
I just think for a flashback there where they're using 2 pages to remind you of an event, remind you of a villain, look how like light on words it actually is. And I think it's a testament to where Claremont was with these stories, that he was not doing that sort of early Bronze Age, Silver Age trope of just like packing in the language on the page.
Yeah. And
so the art gets to play a starring role here. And I think it makes it much more enjoyable. Like you're saying, to have a whole set of panels across the top with one story element and then another set across the bottom with a second, I think is really just awesome. And it's a perfect example of exposition not dragging a comic to a halt.
Yeah, agreed. Albert, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm going to admit it. I was a little confused with the page layout at first. So like the half of it is the first page.
Yeah, the top half
dropped to the bottom left. And I was like,
sure.
What happened to Storm? And then I went back and I was like, oh, okay, like this is it. So I was a little confused with that. And every time that happens when I'm reading a book, it's a little frustrating. I feel like, is it me? Is it me or is it the art? But the bottom parts with the seasons, I really like that touch. I like that it's showing that like, oh no, like he's back or it's back. So
Yep.
And to Chaos he's heckling me already. But like for Bronze Age, yes, not by modern age comic book standards, but for Bronze Age and Claremont and Stan Lee, that is definitely light on. You go read Daredevil one. Then talk.
Yeah, Daredevil one's pretty rough.
Might as well read a novel at that point.
So and one random plug here. This is why I like digitals, because digital kind of guides you, in the direction it's going. But no, I totally get that, and I do that from time to time as well in terms of some of the verbiage of what you're supposed to read first. And when I do figure it out, like it does pull you out for a second, but I will just kind of reread. I'll reset and like just read the page the way I figure it out or whatever. But I hear you there, Albert. All right, so then we get this like innocent couple here. That's again, and for those, so basically it's showing the seasons are going by, right? And that now we discover that one of those creatures survived, even though Storm thought she had finished, sealed the deal with these creatures. But of course, one of them survives, and we kind of get a glimpse of that. And it's actually pretty gloomy. I didn't know. I forgot like how far it went, but like to actually, you find out this couple dies, from this thing that viciously murders that not just them, but they report later that there's like been several killings that have been going on kind of in their area based on this one particular creature. So just poor couple, like they're so happy, and then they're not, and that's just it.
I also thought the writing was like super realistic. Like it just felt like an actual conversation.
Oh yeah, the dialogue. Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, like, this guy just got like he got.
You felt bad for him considering they're only like in there for 6-7 panels.
Right.
I was heartbroken. And that last panel, it feeds on both the body and the soul.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Darn.
Right. And again, look, I mean, you can see so clearly that this is alien. Like this is look at the shape of the creature and the way it's feeding and the way it's holding her up and that amazing shot with the red circle.
Yep.
Like it's so clearly, I mean, so this is for those who know, this is 1980, 1978, I think it was, the original Alien movie came out. You can see that Claremont was like, dang, I love that movie. Let's do something with that. Let's do, and then of course it comes up later with The Brood. I think you can see that he just really loved that universe, and this was his chance to kind of like cheat and play in it a little bit.
Roy Kirk says that's what the guy gets for having naughty thoughts. Yeah, I thought that was interesting that they put that piece in there.
No, Chad, this is not the Brood. This is like a demon creature that's inside an obelisk that apparently Professor X just kept on his property as like, let's store demon obelisks around here. And then Cyclops blasted it in X-Men issue 96. And released the monster that then they had to shoot with an AK-47 they kept in the armory. Moira had to bust out the AK, and then, or no, it was an assault rifle, whatever. And then they had to defeat it, but apparently one of its little children survived, and now they're here. So this is not the Brood, although I mistake it as it looks like the Brood every time. I feel like that cover makes me think it's the Brood, but it's not, because the first appearance of the Brood is 155. Chet can check me if I'm right.
There you go. I'm sure he will. I also like when this guy's getting like choked out in the middle there. Right before he says that, he even says, "I'm glad the moon is full. The things are so lit up and so bright. I don't need my flash." And he's dead. And he's gone.
I can see that. I can see so clearly that I don't even notice this giant monster in front of me.
That's so brutal. All right, so moving on here. This is a really cool. We kind of get two of those intro splash pages here, with this second one being with the word demon on the top here. Very, again, like horror type vibes, and that's not something we normally get from a lot of these X-Men issues, although the last two were certainly dark. I would say this definitely has that horror vibe to it, with the way the word demon is written out is really cool.
And then that high angle looking down, it's creepy.
Like a mansion door almost, or something like that. So we get this here. Charles Xavier is going over some of the controls with Kitty Pryde, as she is still very new to the school. And, we're back to, again, like it's kind of just takes a place after everything that's happened from 142. But, of course, your man Angel's still hanging out there, John. He is giving his 2 cents on some of the training that's going on between these two. So, my man's stepping up a little bit.
For a little, like for a really, really rich, spoiled billionaire, he's doing a job of the butler really well. Like he's a solid Professor X. We're kind of going to be late. Let me. He's very Jeeves in this moment. Here.
Yes.
I was right. Boom. Look at me. There
Boom.
you go. And I'm here for you, Chad. I'm also here for you. I'm
definitely looks like a Brood. Yeah.
I got you.
Albert, any thoughts with this new opening scene that we get with Kitty?
I did have some thoughts. So the demon, it's so intricate, and like they just put so much detail into it, and then the rest of it is not as detailed. And I thought it was a really cool way to kind of like draw your attention in there. Yeah. And I'm a big Kirby fan, and that was a moment where I was like, I wish Kirby drew this. Just like it's already beautiful. It's already great.
Right.
I wish it was like a little bulkier and just like machine looking too.
Yeah.
And there's another part that's coming up where I'm like, I wish he did that instead.
Damn. Yep. Cool.
I also like that, at school she's getting to learn the danger room and then learn how to fly a jet.
Yeah. Yep.
This is what every 13-year-old needs to know.
This is only like day 4 too.
Yeah, exactly. How long have you been an
13?
X-Men?
Is that her age?
Yeah, so I mean, we'll get into her age.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah, I have several qualms about it, and I know Chet's going to be upset with me, but I love you, man. I love you.
All right, so before we get into that, we get some great, again, just dialogue, some back and forth, and seeing the family essentially together. And this is where we find out that Mariko's here. Her and Wolverine are dating, and as we're getting introduced, Wolverine's introducing her to Xavier. We get a quick little sneak kiss from Nightcrawler there as he bamps in and bamps out, and then literally almost dies because Wolverine just goes from 0 to 100 and claws out and everything, just snick it right away, no thoughts at all. When he tries to, a little peck on the cheek, Thank goodness he could bamf like that, because my goodness.
Yeah.
I would love to hear Albert's thoughts on this, because I'll tell you, this is buck wild. These 7-8 panels of just
panels.
Like, did that just happen?
I thought, like, if I knew Wolverine in real life, I would not like him. That is how, like, you got to tiptoe. He's literally about to kill Nightcrawler, like literally. And then my brain went to like, all right, what if he actually like did, and then like, what's the rest of the issue going to look like? That's where my brain went. Obviously, it's a comic. He's not going to kill Nightcrawler.
He's going to get pulled under Krakoa, right? He gets dragged down to the beneath of Krakoa. That's what happened to Sabretooth.
Yep.
Yeah. I thought it was wild. This is wild. He's a little insecure. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit, yeah. I'm like, you're literally gonna kill your friend. Like, I like that. Like, Colossus is like, dude, like, relax, man. You gotta chill out. Like, it's just like a friendly thing that Nightcrawler is doing here.
Yeah. Versus like Professor X mentally calming him.
Yeah.
Like, they don't specify what he does here, but there's definite hints of brainwashing happening in this moment where he's just basically like, okay, let me flip the switch on this guy off.
Yeah, that was weird.
Off.
Yeah,
because he basically just speaks and says, Wolverine, calm down. But there's no way Wolverine listens to that. So clearly, and then if you listen, he says, I'm obliged, Charlie. Your telepathic mind touch did the trick. I'm calm. Wait, that's all what did he do? I feel like he psychically neutered Wolverine in that movie. That's what I feel like might have happened. Just right there real quickly.
No, I'm with you.
So there's several moments that I'm questioning here overall. Not just Wolverine's anger, but Colossus so quickly being there to grab him, and then Professor X being so Johnny on the spot to be like, I know what to do.
Oh, here it is. By the way, Chet said 13 and 18 is the difference, which we're gonna get into next here. Roy Kirk saying, Dad, can I borrow the keys to the jet? Yeah, exactly. Very, very common there. Wolverine in the season of peace don't go hand in hand. Agreed. Chet says, question, will Kitty while Kitty is intangible, can Professor X control her mind? Because technically it isn't there at the moment. Thoughts?
This issue gets into some of the specifics of her abilities and the idea that like there are parts of her that are still in some ways tangible, even when she goes full Shadow Cat or whatever you want to call her.
Yep.
So I do believe, he can still communicate with her and connect with her. So, but it's I don't know that it's ever happened that I can remember. But for for several issues, she was stuck in that shape. And I believe Xavier could still send her messages, as I recall.
Quick hello to Zen from Zen Multiverse. What's going on? My brother's bamfing into the chat. We also have Leave It to Comics in the house. What's going on? Chess said, I love what Peter says to Kurt after getting the kiss. Yeah, let me jump forward here. So we do get this little another peck on the cheek as Kitty thought that she'd stir the pot a little and have some fun. So nice, innocent, Merry Christmas, sexy, as she says. She kisses him, and his face is so red. And then he says, good thing, or Nightcrawler says, good thing you only kissed him on the cheek, kitten. Anywhere else, and he'd have a problem. He'd probably drop dead from shock. He goes, you know, Kurt, I'm beginning to regret rescuing you just now. So yeah, this is definitely some interesting stuff here as they kind of again Storm's showing up in the window there saying, hey, it's time to go. The rest of the crew is essentially going to be taking Professor X off to wherever it is that they're meeting. I forget if they actually clarified that. But with all that being said, John, what are your thoughts on some of these panels here?
All right, so I'm gonna break down the relation. We're at the very early stages of the Kate Pryde Peter relationship here, and there's a ton of facets to this and a ton of ways to look at it. And I spent the last couple of days kind of deep diving, remembering and going through the chronology of kind of what happens in their relationship and the ages. So yeah. As Chet mentioned, she's 13 here. He's 18. You could think of it, if you wanted to, as like a high school freshman right in first day of school and a high school senior ready to graduate. That's about the distance, give or take. Which in some ways, you know, might seem awkward. Some ways might not. And there's several ways to kind of look at it. You could examine the storyline we just had, where Kitty's mind from the future just melded with Kitty's mind from the present. And it's possible she has now some lingering memory or at least affection for him due to the fact that in the future they're married and the minds have melded, right? The mind from the past and the present could have the future and the past, I don't know, could have melded in some way where she's feeling affection that is misplaced due to that. And I think you could definitely understand that as an element.
Yep.
I also am frustrated by the fact that this falls into that category of comic where characters don't age. So we've seen Kitty since issue 129, and here we are 143, and she is still the same age she was when we met her in 129. She has not aged, and she will not age. Like over the next, couple of years of the comic, she barely ages at all. It's years can go by in number of issues, but she won't age years. And that's tricky. And that becomes a challenging thing because we might feel like, oh, she's getting older and she's still just 14. You're like, right. It's a few issues later. She has her 14th birthday. And for us, it feels like we've been reading Kitty Pryde in this comic for almost 2 years and she still has not aged a full year, Right. And it's weird, too, because we tend to get several Christmas issues like every year. So Christmas keeps happening every year.
But they're not.
She doesn't have a birthday every single season. So I don't know what's going on.
Right.
And then we get to the what I think is the bigger question mark, which is obviously people falling in love and getting married has changed in generations, right? So if you go back far enough, you can be like, hey, my grandmother got married and she was 12 years old. Well, it gets creepy. It gets weird by modern standards, right? So that how do you judge something that way? Yeah. And their relationship over the next, it goes all the way through, as Albert knows. And I was super pumped that he brought up Secret Wars because Secret Wars is a big part of their relationship. They start to date and there's some awkward kissing stuff that goes on. And then Secret Wars happens. He falls in love there and loses the love he gets there. And comes back and realizes that what he had with Kitty doesn't have the same maturity level as the relationship he found in Battle World. And so he dumps her. And then they're separated for a long period of time before she matures to be an adult. And then they find their love again. They never consummate the love, but I know that there's a lot of people that feel like it's a really inappropriate relationship, especially for a guy that has a younger sister and should know better. And I have a 14-year-old daughter at home, and I'm telling you right now, this moment with Merry Christmas, sexy, I'm going to kiss you doesn't fly in my house. Right. That's just weird. So, but again, I'm grading it by modern standards. So all of that said, I don't know how people feel about it, and I can understand all different views on it, and I don't want to judge it by 2022 standards. Sure. But I think even by 1980 standards, feel like they could have just aged her up and given her a couple of birthdays and just made her 15 or 16 or given her something. I don't know. Or I don't know. So I would love to hear your guys' thoughts.
Yeah, no, this is all great. Before you do, I just gotta highlight that Jackson Roy Kirk says, my takeaway panel: $1 billion professor can't afford a ramp.
That's fair.
Reading this, I'm like, yeah, no, that's very accurate. Great insight, Roy Kirk.
Solid.
I am with you there. Chet says, nice analysis, John, on mind melding. Yeah, that's something kind of new to me, for sure. Albert, what were your thoughts on this and some of the things John has said, and if anything else you want to add to that?
So I run into these kinds of questions all the time too, and like I never want to be offensive, because there are a lot of people who have like parents who had that kind of relationship, you know,
Sure,
like major age gaps, and I've offended friends before, you know, but I still think it's important to keep in mind that, like, this is an extreme example, but like there was a time where people said like, oh, this is the way it is, like with slavery, this is just the way it is, and like, oh yeah, it's wrong, but it is the way it is, and no, but there's still people at the time who recognized it was wrong. And I think in the 1980s, I'm sure there was people that recognized that kind of relationship was wrong. So I think when we see it, we have to say it's wrong, and we have to assume I think we're giving them a way out of that ethical choice when it's an ethical one, right? I'm an educator too, John. So like I see those age groups, and it's a natural thing. They're different. It's significant. A 14 or an 18 are significantly different, and you're talking about 13. Like that's so. I think that they should have been more responsible and not made her 13 just at all, right? Like, because I think that she had a romantic interest with Colossus like pretty early too.
Yeah, I mean, this is basically the original moment for it right here. This is like a key like moment in that. She does mention that like he's big and muscly, but I don't know that she ever mentions this. Like, this is when affection takes a new step.
Yeah. So it's definitely inappropriate. I think it's weird. Honestly, I'm shocked when I asked the age question. You said 13. I was shocked. If you could replay it, my jaw dropped. Just because it's crazy.
Yeah.
And also,
I think the way they write her doesn't feel like a 14-year-old or a 13-year-old, and I think that that's a strange, silly mistake that just doesn't need to have happened in the first place. I know they wanted her to be a certain age as a new student, but it just doesn't seem necessary because she doesn't isn't drawn as a 13-year-old. You know?
And Chet just wrote in the chat that issue 12 12 issues ago it was a crush, and I think that's completely normal. Right, like preteens and teenagers have crushes on older people, and that's worthy of a story and like a perspective. This is a little weird. I appreciate you also trying to like give them the mind melding, you know, excuse way out, but I still don't think that's it. That's the way.
I never thought. I mean, that haven't really crossed my mind of the mind melding thing, but. Yeah, I definitely, I'm with you guys. I think well said all around. And John, thank you for kind of digging, deeper with some of this.
And I mean, come up again. I mean, we're just at the footsteps of this early sort of process. Yeah.
And I've only heard like, other aspects of this type of situation, as I'm still very new to, reading, onward with some of the Claremont stuff. But I definitely find it weird. It's definitely a bit of a gap for sure at that young age. I do feel like it could have been. They could have just had her start at 16, and still that would have given you the idea that, okay, she is younger. But it's still a big difference. 13 to 16 is still a big difference too. So, but yeah, no, I'm with you guys. Gonna jump forward here. We still get, actually at the end of this, so this is where we get Angel leaving, saying goodbye. And this is Jackson Roy Kirk said, so he does have a use talking about Angel here.
Basically he says, hey, have fun at the mansion by yourself.
Just like her.
She's 13 and she has to like watch herself in the mansion alone.
Right.
In the holidays.
Nobody can stay.
Yep, and
gotta
here
be
she
one
is.
X-Men, right?
Yeah, and of course, out of every, so she's by herself. She's like, you know what? Let me try to call someone, and or is this? Oh no, sorry, the phone's ringing, and she answers after she's tried to reach her parents. That's what it was. And of course, so she calls Cyclops, kind of checking in with him, and was interested to, or kind of surprised to see him so quickly. Which I heard, John, that you kind of made jokes before when we saw his goodbye issue, where we're like, well, it doesn't last that long. Like he actually, shows up here again rather quickly. But he's on his own mission here. He's in Florida, I think. Somewhere in Florida, I think he says, and he is looking for a Lee Forrester, who I don't know that character, but it turns out to be the woman there on the right. Yeah, I didn't know if Lee Forrester was a significant name in some other comic or anything like that, but he's a you're a girl. He goes, she goes, scared to try again, sport? He goes, I mean, sorry, Scott Summers. She says, come aboard, Scott. We'll split a pot of coffee and talk. So he kind of dismisses the phone call and carries on with his life there as he's going on trying to figure himself out with the whole Jean Grey thing and all that stuff. So a bit of a sad moment there. Any thoughts? Any you guys want to add in here, John, with some of this stuff?
No, I mean, I think it was their way of basically giving him a solo journey, but not losing the character in the comic itself, because they knew they were going to need him, and they weren't done with him as a character, but that he needed to really go through this trauma a little bit. So I don't mind it too much, but I do feel like it's better as a solo story, which we do get very soon. Yeah.
Bobby, old school phones. Yes, very much so. The rotary. Albert, anything to add there?
Is that how Hanukkah is spelled? Is Chanukah a thing?
Yeah.
Hanukkah.
And in fact, I think there's actually 3 different ways to spell Hanukkah, depending on which Hebrew text you're looking at. But usually, it is with a C at the beginning.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. I didn't know.
Yep. So moving in here, we get her. So Kitty's now like, okay, like what can I do? I kind of put some of these together, and really a lot of this upcoming stuff, a lot of action scenes going on. But this kind of sets the pace where first she's trying to figure out, well, what do I want to do? I guess let me continue my education here. Let me try to do some stuff in the danger room, even though I know that there's only so much she can do because of how the danger room's set up, right? Like, so she's doing the gymnasium time cycle 60 minutes, it says on the screen there as she's setting that up. And it's cool to see her fall through the floor there. Again, I always appreciate like little creativity of how they show her abilities. So she's like floating down using like the molecules. We talked a little bit about that last episode on how she can kind of, walk on air in a sense. And she starts doing like some of these exercises and, talking about to herself that she just thinks that like, I thought that being an X-Men was going to be fun. Like I thought there was going to be like so much more to this. And then really it's not, I mean, it's more about, learning and educating yourself and practicing and
flying jets.
And yeah. So she's getting like a different aspect of this whole X-Men gig that she didn't really, realize what else went into this. So I think that's a big learning point for her, just this in itself, as she's, starting to better herself. And then you get the big bang or brang, as you hear on the top right, when the screen goes red for a second, which is really cool, especially on digital. But she's
look how
stands.
Look how that panel stands out amongst the backgrounds.
Everything else.
It's just like it's like an alarm going off.
Right. And at that moment too, she was thinking about like how serious to take a lot of this stuff, because she's reminiscing of the fact that Jean Grey had died, and and X-Men had died. Like X-Men can die, and so this isn't a game. This isn't necessarily it's not just for fun. People's lives are at stake here. So that was again just kind of a big part to me that stood out. And then of course, the burglar alarm goes off, as you see on the top right. She goes through the wall to go check things out. Then she goes upstairs to check on what she heard upstairs, and we discover, as you can see the panel there, the window completely shattered. And we had seen that room before of Storm from some earlier issues back when they first get back to that mansion. So that Storm's like place, but all those plants are destroyed. And then she has like some green goo on the floor that she kind of steps in, which I hate when that happens. So what are your again? I'm jumbling a couple of panels together here, but what were some of your thoughts here, Albert? I will pass it to you.
So I think that if the story started here, like instead of getting all that pre stuff, it also would have been kind of cool just to kind of see, like, because from now for a while, it's just her dialogue in her head. There's nothing else. She's not talking to anybody. And I really enjoyed just like this almost like marathon where you're seeing her thoughts develop. Like, so right now she's in this like introspective place, and then the alarm. And now it's like, oh, that's weird. Oh, like, I hope it's not anything bad. Oh my God, all of Storm's flowers are gonna like, and it just progresses, and then it gets to like, no, straight up terror mode. We're gonna get there, but like, I think that this storytelling right now is my favorite part of the whole thing, and this is just the beginning. And it starts, it progresses in a really entertaining way, I think.
Totally. I totally agree. John, you want to add to that?
I mean, I think you guys nailed it. I love the green goo in the sense of it feels like Alien when you're in the, where all the eggs are and the ground is all green and slimy. And yeah, it's perfect for what we're doing here.
Yeah. So we'll jump into some of the action where we finally get to see this alien creature coming out of nowhere. I really like this panel and how it's laid out, that they have like this square, this purple square kind of. So it's just like, it's a room, we get it, but it's just scary. Like it's just the theme of it, I think, is really interesting that they chose to kind of go with the simplicity of the whole thing. And yet I feel like it really works, She's, screaming, completely saying no. We get all this vicious attack right away, very similar to the movie. I mean, everything that we're talking about here, or even like a Jurassic Park style type, thing with the raptors or something, and this thing is just like tearing through everything that she tries to run. She's running down the hall. She runs through the wall, trying to use her abilities in that way. And this thing does not care at all, just completely rips right through. And I'll jump into the next panel here, crashing through the walls there. I love seeing that top thing, and where you could see the next wall he's about to go into, and she's like already going through all the way to the stairs. Her going through, she figures out, hey, all right, let me go down these stairs. She's a little bit ahead of him at this point, and let me hide down here. There's a lot of smells down here, so maybe he can't smell me. You see a lot of like the broom and stuff and being downstairs. So again, as you're saying, Albert, a lot of the dialogue going back and forth with herself, trying to figure out what can she do to kind of right now just survive, right? She doesn't even have a plan of like fighting back yet per se. She's just trying to figure out how to live. So really cool stuff there. And then she does kind of get a thought where she's like, okay, let me try to call somebody, see who can pick up. And it's quiet, and she goes to the phone, and then you get this monster viciously coming right back at her. And some things happen there where she gets clawed, even though her ability lets it go through her, where she still is quote unquote touched. Something I didn't mention in the beginning that Storm said she had also felt when these goblins or whatever they're called, these aliens, were grabbing her, that she would feel this type of, what was the description? Like a sadness or agony. Agony that she's never felt before, kind of in her chest or wherever it was that she was touched. So she clearly is like, okay, I can't be touched again, because that actually affected me and right. How I'm feeling right now. So I just ran through a couple things, but give me your thoughts on some of this stuff. John, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I love the idea that this thing is intelligent, right? And there's a battle of wits going on here, because she tries to outsmart it. It outsmarts her. She tries to use her abilities because she's had a little bit of training, but can she outwit this thing? I don't know if she's trying to. I don't know who she's going to call at that moment. The cops are going to come. I don't know if she's going to get hold of Professor Xavier in the jet. I don't know. I don't know who she's going to call.
She's gonna call for pizza. Order size.
That's
pizza.
What it is. Well,
that's what I would have done. I would have ordered.
Look
pizza.
How skinny this thing is. It's clearly hangry. Like that's definitely part of the problem here.
Get a nice pepperoni pie. Yep.
So I love. Yeah, there's a definite fun cat and mouse kind of thing going on here, where they're trying to outwit one another, and that's the fun of this whole thing. Chet says Ngari are mystical. Maybe that's why they.
Oh, that's Kitty. It.
But yeah, there is definitely a magic or a power that they have that is allowing them to accomplish the tasks, like tearing this mansion to pieces.
Yeah,
like she I can't even imagine the bill from the contractor when Professor Xavier's like, okay, so all of these walls are got that floor, that ceiling, and then we get downstairs. Like the mansion has got to be total, right? I mean, I know it's big, but they messed this place up.
Yeah. Yep. I just picture Home Alone, where at the end where he's like, Kevin, when he sees the bill, only this time it's Kitty, at the very end of this whole thing. Albert, what are your thoughts on some of this? I'm going to jump to the next one too as we go into this. Go ahead.
I think this monster is just like crazy powerful, and it's terrifying. I mean, like I think they did a really good job of showing you like this is a real threat. This is that panel where I thought Jack Kirby should have done this one. Bottom right, where he's lifting up the floor.
Oh yeah.
Right.
That's all Jack Kirby right there, just like machines and parts and all this like stuff like that.
Yep.
That was that's that came
straight out of New Gods or something.
Yeah. But I also thought that the monster was just like I mean I was trying to bring it back. I forgot. But the monster's relentless. I love it.
Yep.
It's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in that way, again, totally reminds me of the original Alien film, where it's just like you feel like trapped with you and it in this place, and you can't get away, and it's just hunting you, and you think you've outsmarted it, and then it's outsmarted you. I mean, it's very much in keeping with Ridley Scott's original film.
Yeah, this thing is it feels like this thing is like 5 steps ahead of her. Whatever she thinks of, he just happens to be there. And this is something that she had thought about too on the left panel here, where she actually gets to, she reaches back to the danger room and she's like, you know what, let me just set the danger room to the most difficult challenges and just let this thing battle the danger room, which I think is a great idea. I mean, it makes sense. Like, that's what this thing's there for. And there are those abilities to set it to, some pretty challenging things that these, the team has had to fight. So I like where her mind was. Unfortunately, yeah, as Albert pointed out, he just rips up the floor like nothing. I mean, I think we get some other things here too, as they continue to kind of fight through this, and certain things kind of work, but really just enough for her to like dip and dodge and duck. The 5 Ds is what she's kind of throwing that, to dodge this thing and try to survive. But I like that one panel here that I kind of blown up where she jumps through this window and she's like drops right into the floor. Like, it's just cool that there's so many like ideas that they could do with her abilities. And it's just like, it really is kind of endless in a way. But so she's running here and she ends up getting onto this little built-in like train that they have underneath that brings them to the jet. This is how they get over to the jet. Unfortunately, I mean, even that didn't quite work. Like, he grabs the tail end of this thing and just like whips it.
Well, I think it runs on like a line, like you can see it going through the front and then out the back. Like it's almost like a monorail kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think he grabs it and pulls it and then like tears it off of whatever it was on, and it,
So, and it did say like that she had to run it a little extra. I know it said here like they were talking about like 1 meter equals 3.3 feet, and they were just kind of like
they gave us the math on the meters to feet. I thought that was hilarious.
I'm like, wow, they really like try to
why do you just pick one? Like, why do you really need to give us a conversion chart?
900 meters in 3 minutes, and then that's the little asterisk to give you a sense of how far.
They just wanted you to be impressed. Look,
yes,
running.
Yeah. Those boots, those nice yellow boots. So, and then again, I like how she gets into the ship. You can see on the bottom right hand a little bit, she's kind of like pushing herself through the actual ceiling there, or I guess the bottom of the ship. Yeah, what were some of your thoughts here? As she, her idea now is she's trying to escape by the ship, right? That's like her main thing. But then she figures out like, well, let me blast this thing in the face, right? Like, which we get here where she's like, got you, and she just slams it, and this thing just gets lit up. Albert, what was going through your mind with some of these panels here?
Well, the battle was intellectual, and she ended up winning, right? Or at least getting to that point. And I thought that it was a good reveal for her character that she can think beyond her like physical skill. And she's like really understanding like what it means to be an X-Men character. The whole mystical element that they could touch her, that was kind of like, they're using magic as like a excuse for her weakness, but it serves a good point that it shows that like she can actually think on her feet pretty well too.
Totally.
And just to add, there's a lot of parts here again with the tunnels. Jack Kirby would have crushed that. But
Albert just wants Jack Kirby to have drawn some more.
I just want Jack Kirby back.
I'm sorry.
But
you're not alone there, man.
The artwork on the eyes, I think, is phenomenal. I think John Byrne.
That one big eye right there.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Agreed.
And at this point, you really do feel like this is her last shot. And there's a level of desperation that I think that like when you're reading so much dialogue, you kind of get immersed in the way she's feeling. And I of this whole comic, that's what I enjoyed the most. That like I was really feeling what she was feeling.
Yep. Well said. John, anything or any thoughts here with some of these panels that I've kind of
I love first Chet's comment, because this is basically how Ripley kills the monster, right? Like tries to hide in the back of the jet, and she has to turn it on and burn the thing away. So it's basically the same move too. So yeah, spot on, Chet. I'm gonna throw out a story term called Chekhov's gun, and if you've never heard of this, it's just the concept that a you can't put something at the beginning of your story and not have it pay off later on. So if a character is brandishing a weapon at the beginning and then they set it down, the rest of the story you're waiting for them to pick it up and use it. Well, the very beginning of this story has Kitty Pryde learning to fly the jet and learning what the buttons do and how to turn it on. You can't. It's a good writing technique to set that up and then pay it off here at the end. So in the sense, the Blackbird was Chekhov's gun, and we were waiting for it to go off, and of course, it goes off beautifully here at the end.
So I always knew that was like a way of writing. I didn't realize that was like kind of a term or a nickname for that.
Yeah,
which is cool.
it just comes from that concept that a play could start with a character setting a gun on the mantelpiece, and then you're waiting with dramatic tension for the gun to be used. Someone's going to pick it off. It's going to go pick it up. It's going to go off. And,
right.
And so lots of devices can be used as a Chekhov's gun, but here it is the Blackbird that gets to be the weapon.
Yeah. Pays off at the end, as you said, and it's a good thing she paid attention and learned what Angel had to say in that one scene.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's very cool. From there, we get kind of the outcome of this whole thing. The fire in the backgrounds of this is just absolutely awesome. We get to see a close-up of how she walks on air, essentially, the molecules that she's using, and it describes a little bit more detail of that. So I like that it's just bringing that back again, like, hey, just to remind the readers, like, this is a possibility, this is something she can do, and just think of all the possibilities that can be done with something such as this. So really cool kind of outcome. And even then, we get this claw that just swipes through kind of towards the end there, kind of leaving you to your mind of like, well, where does this go next? Because it shifts gears completely after this. But what were your thoughts on some of these panels, the coloring and things like that, John?
I mean, it's just spot on. We've had so many cool colors for so long in this storyline that all of a sudden it just goes straight fire. And I actually double checked because I love that shot of the hand that Chet's talking about, and it totally reminds me of Terminator, like the hand like reaching for her at the very end. Yeah. Terminator was 4 years after this, so maybe James Cameron saw this and was like, I want to do that in my movie. I don't know, but this reminds me of Terminator right there at the end.
Well said. Albert, any thoughts here with this?
The only panel I was looking at was the hand. I don't even think I read the rest of it.
Oh man, you got to see her feet going, man. She's walking on air.
I remember reading, I don't know if this happens to just me. Like sometimes I'm reading, and if the art doesn't attract me, I just keep reading. I don't really look at every single panel's image unless it's interesting. So I remember looking at this hand, and I was like, oh snap, because the next slide is just jumps to the next part of the story.
Yeah, you don't even
get just this is crazy. So, it's beautiful. It's great artwork.
Yeah. And did you guys like? Oh, sorry, you go ahead, John.
No, go ahead.
Did you like how this ended? How it kind of just from this goes right into this? What were your thoughts? Like, I like that it was just kind of left you wondering exactly how did this, finish, right? Yeah. Action.
It leaves a little dramatic tension, right? Because we're like, is she okay? Did they kill her?
That's what I'm like, well, yeah. I'm like, a part of me wanted to see that,
reading now,
right.
They didn't, but it would be probably a little exciting if you were reading it at the time. And to Jackson's point, she does mention, oh yeah, remember in that movie, she literally references Alien. It's like she almost shot calls it. I know they can't actually use the name of the movie because they would probably be ready to be sued for this, but she shot calls it right there.
I wonder, could they have said it's an alien, lowercase a, oh, it's an alien?
No, they called it a demon. They were very careful.
That's right.
No, it's not an alien. It's a demon.
That's true. That's right. Well, as you guys said, we jump right into the next set of scenes, and we're back at the mansion. And not only that, there was an unexpected obstacle was the police roadblock in Salem Center. They talk about. And so Charles is back, and they're showing back up to the mansion, but they already can tell something's off. They can already feel it that there's something in the air.
I'm sure there's a couple of walls missing.
That's what I'm They from the outside, you don't really I'm looking closer at the panel here, and it's no. It just looks like a regular building. There's nothing missing, no bricks or no glass shattered or anything like that. So unless they just managed to keep it all in the front of the house, the damage. But they do point out, Peter's no lights, Professor. That could mean nothing. It's late. Kitty could have just been gone to bed. But he's Professor feels like there's something else going on here, so he sends him in has Storm stay back, and then Kitty's just chilling. She's in a robe. She's hanging out, and then the parents are right behind them. That's who they had picked up. So we get to see them, and I love the one line here at the bottom right where she's just like, "Mom, Dad, you grew a beard." Yeah. It's so good. And I just think like it just sounds like the both of them grew a beard.
Yeah. It's such a great, bad, weird line. They just clearly were tired of drawing him the old way, and they decided to draw a beard on him. And it was like, well, we need to say it. We can't just, otherwise they're like, look like your dad. Like, we got to say something.
The editor was like, hey, you got to say something about this.
This needs to be fixed.
People are going to think that they divorced and she's with someone new and, all this other stuff. Like, we got to.
I also love how it's like, they're like, no, Storm, you shouldn't go in there.
I was wondering why not Storm?
Leave the goddess outside. Yeah. Send the metal guy.
The Omega level. Right.
I think that's hilarious. A moment for Charles. Just thought I'd throw that out. When I read it, I was like, dear God, man.
Peter, if there's any tree trunks in there, you pull them out.
Maybe the reality is he's like, Peter's expendable, and you Storm, you're more valuable.
Oh man,
like, you stay back here with me.
Just protect him, right? Selfishly just protect him.
So we get a little bit of that, and then the very end, they're all together again. We kind of get back to this happy, set of vibes. But again, this is what kind of reminded me of like Home Alone, where it's just like going through the bill, Kevin, looking at all the stuff, and for her, she's breaking it to Storm, like, yeah, so hey, some crazy things happened. I almost died. The danger room's wrecked. The Blackbird at the hangar, all that stuff, the house, and she's like, are you hangry? She's like, no, I'm not angry. I'm proud. If anything, she survived. So, and then you get some panels there at the end of the destruction and the hand that you still see there. What are your guys' thoughts on the endings here? Albert, I'll send it over to you first.
I mean, it's a nice cheesy corny Christmas miracle. But I have to say their faces in these last panels look very weird. Like Storm one has like cat eyes, she has got like that weird
very cartoony
right there. And Kitty Pryde's eyes are way too big. Small details, but it's fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
I do love the last little like melted hand, like ashes bit. I do think they're glossing over the fact that a jet just blew up in the basement. Like there's probably a giant fire downstairs. There's like, they're all just like, let's have some punch. We need some punch. Everybody get some punch.
Yeah.
And Dad is like, my daughter was just attacked by a demon in the house and basically had to blow the whole place up to destroy this thing. And everybody's like, he's like, no, she should keep going to school here. This is a good place. This is good for you. This is going to teach you some.
He's probably getting some of that of Xavier's relaxing touch.
You know what? That might make he's been psychically neutered to be chilled about the whole thing. Because that's the only way this makes sense to me is like this mansion's been torn apart. There's a jet fire in the basement and my daughter was just attacked by a demon, but let's have punch.
Yeah. Hey, we got Manny in the house. What's going on, Manny? Thanks for stopping in. So the other thing that I'd added, what did Chet say here? He said the art is the art is going away gift. Oh, is a going away gift from John Byrne to Claremont in the last several panels. Maybe
he did not give it his all. No.
Yeah. So I know that at that point they certainly were still disagreeing on a lot of things and butting heads from what I've read and heard about. They do. I did want to include this little bit of the letter at the end. I don't know if you guys taken time to read this or did you see this at the end? So afterwards, there's a little clip here of Chris Claremont, and basically it's he's just like telling the world, I have bad news and I have good news. And he says, the bad news, he wants to open this up and have this dialogue that, without a doubt, let me see. He says, actually, I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's a lot, but basically saying John Byrne has resigned as penciler on the X-Men after this issue. This is his last issue. It is also that Terry Austin's last issue as inker on this book. He said, in all my years as a writer, I have never worked with as good a creative team. A nice pair of people as John and Terry together. They reach Olympian levels. So he certainly had some really nice things to say. He did then say and now on to the good news or the good stuff. He introduces the fact that the job for the interim art job is going to go to Brent Brent Anderson, and then on top of that, we're also getting the return of Dave Cockrum, which he reminds people he was, there from the get with everything he's been doing. So he does wish them best of luck and everything else. He refers to like 3 years. I don't know if every 3 years there were like these deals or whatever the case may be, but he referred to how Dave was with him for 3 years, and then these guys were together for 3 years, and he says he looks forward to the next 3 years on what that'll bring with the team. So that was just a little bit
later. Yeah, that's thanks for mentioning that. I would never have known that it was there.
Yeah, it's cool. There was that, and there's actually another little sliver too down at the very bottom, all on that one X-Mail page. So just want to throw that in there.
Hey, Verno, good.
Hey.
Cerebro.
What's going on, Vern? Good to see you, man. Appreciate you swinging by. So let's see. That's kind of where we wrap up. I know we'll get into the numbers here. Before we do, any final thoughts? Anything that you wanted to mention I might have gone over, or I was trying to go through some of the action scenes a little faster just to kind of show everything there. But any final thoughts there, John? I'll send it to you.
No, I mean, I think it was all done really well. I think this was a lot of fun to look through and relive that sort of 80s nostalgia. Thank you, Charlie, for running through with her plate really loudly. That was awesome. Yeah. So I think this was just definitely an issue. You could see it at turmoil with itself in some ways, but still a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, agreed. I'm with you. Albert, any final thoughts there?
Same. Well said, John. This was a lot of fun. Nice little tribute. I think as a person who's trying to do a lot of home repair or home renovations, this is oh man, they must have somebody, who does this. Or it's Kitty who's taking care of all the house.
Or it's Kitty, yeah.
And also she took a shower, and I'm like, that plumbing definitely was messed up. Sure.
maybe we're missing out on next week's lesson in carpentry.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, we got Haley in the chat. What's going on, Shy Comic Girl? She's going to be a guest here coming up soon, I think, in these next couple of weeks or months. But good to see you, Haley. I know she's been catching up on some X-Men stuff. Nigel too. Yeah, he said that's the first time I knew that ending letter was about. Never read it after all these years. Yeah, it's definitely easy to kind of glance over, but yeah, definitely a nice way for them to kind of do a send-off in a sense. Quick hello to Perry too. I saw he came in here as well. Good to see you, Perry. Yeah, so no vacation, Jackson Roy Kirk, Professor. So X-Men, no vacations for the next 3 months. Yeah, even though he likes to always give, vacations, I feel like he's always telling them to go on vacation. So let's get into the numbers real quick here before we get into the trivia. So stick around for the trivia. But the numbers here, Uncanny X-Men 143. The main key here is just, as we've been talking about, last John Byrne issue on the X-Men title, and also, as noted in the letter, this is also for Terry Austin. I don't know if Terry Austin actually comes back or not, and maybe chat might know, or someone in the chat might know, but so to my knowledge, that was the end of that for him, although I think he goes on to do a lot of other things, for Marvel and so on and so forth. So, hey, we got Aggressively Relaxing in the House, one of my favorite names on YouTube. Good to see you, man. He says, hey, X-fans. So very cool stuff. As you can see, there's 3 9.9s out there, one with a recent sale, fair market value of $950 for a 9.9, and then other than that, there are 386 9.8s that are out there. They're going for about 30 days out, 158, or which is a little below the general fair market value of 210. Certainly affordable there if anybody wanted to get this, as it's technically not a significant key, but definitely a fun read, and noted as that it's John Byrne's last work there. But otherwise, a good amount out there. The 9.6s, 512, and that drops down to about 30-day out, about $90. So average 75 or so. I wouldn't mind having a book like this in a nice grade like that. I do have a raw copy of this, and I think I'd want to have both just to be able to flip through from time to time, even though I also have the Omnibus chat. I know, but so not too bad. This is definitely one of those books that don't jump the way we've talked about, John, in the past. These 9.9s. I guess the 9.9 is what you'd want to go for, right? Like if you can find a 9.8 that you can press to a 9.9, maybe but that's rare. Yeah, definitely risking there. All right, so that kind of wraps up the numbers part. So I'm gonna close this out. And again, for people that are just coming in, I want to show this off one more time, or again, as I always do. But one of the things that we are raffling is, it is not here. I don't have it. What? Oh, here we go. Overlay. Whew. So this right here, I was like, where is it? We will be giving this away later this year when Omni X-Men season 2 that we're in. And sorry, Albert, for covering you up here. But we'll be there. He is. There's Albert. So this is from Nicholas Lane 77 over on Instagram. Just want to shout him out. Appreciate what he had designed here, and people can win this for sure if you get your name in a raffle. So let's get into the questions. And again, we're looking for the first two to type in the correct answer, get a raffle ticket to our raffles. And then the other one is for humor. So we're looking for something funny. If you have some sarcasm, creative answer that you want to put out there, we will have Albert choose that as the funny answer, in which you can also get your name in the raffles as well. And I say raffles plural because I forgot to mention too, John has his that he's going to be giving away a mystery box that's kind of catered to whoever it is that wins as well. So definitely and we have a bunch of other extras. Last year we did a lot of fun things. We'll have, I'm sure, a bunch of giveaways again this year around. So
and Chet's already offered a slabbed X-Men book, so we've got lots of goodies.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, he says no touching. Read your damn omnibus. Fine, fair enough. He's here like slapping my hand here. So all right, let's get into it, John. You want to kick it off with your first question?
Yeah, so we got 4 trivia questions here. My first one has to do with last week's issue. I made a little bit of fun about Angel being kind of useless, not really doing much last week, but he had one significant contribution to the battle sequence. So what is the one thing I pointed out that Angel does that is actually useful in the fight? And if you have a funny answer, throw that in the chat as well. Angel did just about as much this week as he did last week.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely I really appreciated all the slides that you had put together, John. Those were great, and they are saved, by the way. So feel free to reuse them again. Those are great.
So good. So, yeah, what was the useful contribution to the battle last time from him? And so far, Nigel on point. You did typo already, but you know what? So did Old Wolf. We're gonna have to wait a second here.
Still looking for answers. Looking for
correct answers. In fact,
yes,
still looking for correct answers. There's one correct answer.
Yeah, and you can copy and paste. You
can copy and paste if somebody's got it spelled correctly, written correctly. We've got one correct answer.
It could be Desired Comics, in which case you want to copy his answer and paste.
Tony, you're an ass. You had time to type I'm an ass, but you couldn't type it correctly because there it is. So first correct answer goes to Bobby De La Ghetto. He knocked Pyro.
Boom.
Avalanche. Pyro upside the head. He didn't punish Pyro, Tony. I don't know if that's a correct answer. Punish Pyro. I'm going to say no. Yeah. I know you meant punch. Not so much. Then we go all the way down to Magic Lasso, who punched Pyro. So those are the two I've got. Bobby, I know I've got you in here somewhere, Bobby, already. There it is. And we've got Magic Lasso.
Tony says pushed Pyro. He goes, damn it, I'm a big
pushed
ass.
Him. He punished him. He just punished him. But we got some funny answers in there. Albert, you find one you like?
Yeah, I laughed, and I feel like a little kid. He said that he farted, and I thought that was so funny.
We definitely got an LOL from Albert with
a real life laugh.
Yeah, with Desired Comics.
That was good. Classic.
Right, so there you go.
Yeah.
Magic Lasso says give it to Tony. He's offering that up. Are you cool with that, John?
No.
Ooh, shot down.
I know that Tony guy. I know he's Old Wolf's already got 2 raffle tickets. I don't feel bad. If he had no raffle tickets, I'd have given him one, but he's already in
there.
He can spell punch, not punish.
That's great. All right, we're good. Next, I'll jump into my first question, and it actually takes place towards the end of the issue. And the question is, what does Storm scream when she is taking out the Sentinel after it had killed Wolverine? Spoilers for those who missed it.
lots of death in these issues. In this Days of Future Past.
Yeah,
you never know when Angel farts because he just wishes it around with his wings. swishes it around.
Excuse me.
Fan it off. But people are like, "Why are you flapping your wings all of a sudden?"
Stretch
Like, what's the? Yeah.
Gotta waft it, man.
Gotta keep these things stretched. Oof! Wow.
So
Chet and Lasso, boom and boom.
I like
it was
Lasso's
all
way
in
more
caps
though.
with an exclamation.
I like Lasso. Yeah, never. It wasn't like never.
There is an exclamation point.
Bobby Delgado with Booyaka Shaka.
Nice.
I mean, that's an odd thing for her to shout out, but hey, if it takes out a Sentinel, it's worth it.
That's right. Yeah. So I think so Ryan and Chet, even though Chet's was a little bland.
Quote,
But
you know what happened to the Sentinel when it gets struck by lightning? Same thing that happens to everything else. It's so good.
That was
if you've
great.
seen the original X-Men movie, that's the worst line in the freaking movie.
I had that in my notes for when we're going to break it down.
I mean, I can't tell Albert what to pick, but damn.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that you even typed that entire thing into the chat.
I'm gonna say Booyah Shaka.
There you go. So is that Bobby?
That was Bobby.
Bobby Delgado.
Bobby coming in
Nice.
strong.
There's Bobby's in there, right? He
This is his fifth raffle ticket.
Nice. All right.
He's got
All right.
5.
Very nice.
All right. My second question.
Yep.
Is going to be so we met some mutants from the future last time, including Rachel Summers. I felt like the look for Rachel Summers was a throwback to which DC character? So can you think of who Rachel Summers looked like? And if there's some comedy you got in there, you can throw in some entertainment. But yeah, made some comparisons. Oh,
yeah, Guy, Pressable Defects in the house, Comic Forge. Thanks for stopping in.
Good to see you, sir.
Hope you're watching some golf there, Guy. We got golf back, man. He and I talking golf before.
I might watch football before I watch golf. I don't know about that one.
Oh, come on, John. You play. You play.
Fine. Watch it. I don't know.
Fair,
it's one of those things for me. So Old Wolf coming in strong. You got your point that time, my sir. Yeah, Guy Gardner.
Nice. Guy Gardner.
And Chet Scotland. There you go, sir.
Very nice.
Right. Just looking for something funny. What do you think Rachel looked like? Diana Ross. I mean, obviously Lasso playing to his strengths there.
Playing to his strengths. Guy says, I need some good weather to go and play. Yeah, I hear you, man. And right now that's not the case. Not near us anyways. Not on the East Coast. We're going to get hit with snow this weekend. Gully McCulkin, that's great. Yeah, nails it there.
That was more like this week's episode with Kitty Pryde.
That's what. Yeah. A lot more of that reference
faces like that.
Yeah. That last panel.
All right. As we'll let a couple others trickle in. I'll throw my other answer out here, and then we'll. We are getting a couple others here.
Pete Rose.
Pete Rose.
Topher Grace. Wow.
That's a good one. I like that one.
You want Topher Grace?
Yeah, Topher Grace is good.
Yeah, that's
all right.
great.
There you go, Alan.
That's
your fifth one, Alan.
It's so funny that other night we're talking Spider-Man. So great. Nice one, Alan. All right. Last question here. Name the 2 characters that defeat the Blob. Last episode. The 2 characters that defeat the Blob. There was even a really cool move. That they did. A lot of science came into play. So name those 2 characters. How was the Blob defeated last issue? I always want to say episode. I guess technically episode if I refer to our show.
Right.
Boom and boom. I see a couple already coming in the chat. So Alan was first. Colossus and Wolverine, that is correct, and then followed by my man Chet.
And
you guys
Chet.
have that order too?
I do.
And Chet.
I do.
Yeah.
There you go. We got them with the teeter totter special. I mean, that is certainly what we could call that. Yes, the teeter totter special. That's a good one, John. We'll give you that.
I mean, the only thing that could really defeat the Blob is Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah. Lionel Richie and Diana Ross. I like that you say Magic Lasso sticking to his strengths.
He knows this chat well.
Yeah.
I was gonna put diabetes.
I mean, right? Cholesterol.
Albert's like, I choose my own answer for this one here.
Right.
Put me in
the Queen with the cold.
All right, these are good ones. These are good ones.
Mary Kay and Ashley. Cheech and Chong. They got the Blob all blazed up.
Yeah, maybe he's
gave him the munchies.
Maybe he's hangry.
That is creative. That is creative.
Definitely a way to take him down.
Is it time? Is it time to get the answer?
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right, Bobby, you got it. Cheech and Chong, give him the weed.
Bobby's strong.
Yeah,
Bobby's strong tonight.
Hey, creative.
Yeah, I like that he took time to really, explain it out too. Very nice, very nice.
Sit him down by a fire.
Yeah.
Give him some brownies. Waiting out.
Everyone forgets the I-beam's contribution. Yeah, that's true. It was. I was trying to work the I-beam in there as my question, but I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna stick with the two names for now. But good call there, Jackson Roy Kirk. Yeah, imagine being the Blob's roommate. No, thank you. No, thank you. All right. So with that being said, we're almost at an hour and a half here. Thank you to everybody who's hanging with us as always. It's always a good time. And Albert, dude, thank you for being part of the Omni X-Men for the first and definitely not last time. We'll have to have you back on again real soon because I know you love your X-Men. I know you love your Omnibus. So you're, welcome back anytime. You know that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And again, I put Albert's information in the description below. If you don't follow him over on Instagram, you certainly should. I will also be adding his TikTok in as he has a lot of great content over there as well. I know you bring a lot of it over to Instagram too, so you certainly can follow along on both sides. But yeah, Albert, you've just been a great dude, man. So love that you're part of this community, and we'll be meeting up here in literally an hour and a half.
Jealous, man.
Right.
I'm
about to go right up.
Some Saga Midnight, dude. So I thought about going earlier, but I'm like, it's so cold out. I don't know if I want to wait outside. I'm gonna be wearing like triple layers.
Make you wait outside. I know my LCS is gonna have like donuts and beer, and people can be standing around inside. He just won't sell you the issue until.
Oh man, no beer, donuts and beer, man. There is a Dunkin' Donuts, but it's probably already closed right there.
My LCS does like midnight drawing shows, and so you can hang out and draw, like sketch and draw and drink, and yeah.
Oh man, that's cool. All right, and just a reminder too. Next show we're going to be over on John's channel, and we're going to be breaking down 144. Which, by the way, I have never read anything else beyond 143. So this is huge for me.
I have not read this one in a really long time either. This particular issue, and we got Fable joining us. So Station.
Oh my gosh, that's right. We're gonna have Fable. That's awesome. Was that Man Thing, or is it Man Thing or Swamp Thing? Man Thing.
He saw my Man Thing.
What was that? Was that what I just saw there?
That was Man Thing.
I thought we're talking X-Men, John. We're talking X-Men. Albert, stop showing off the damn Man Thing.
All right, it's just not a giant size.
All right. Yeah, and chat. No, I have not quite gotten around to Hulk Annual 7 yet, but we certainly will get around to that soon. It's on the docket. It's in the queue somewhere. But thanks again, everybody, for hanging out. And again, make sure to catch us over on John's channel next week, as he had mentioned. Again, appreciate all the support. Until next time, we'll catch you guys later.